Hi, third graders. It's time for some more math. We're in chapter 8 and we are talking about telling time to the 1 minute and also reviewing AM and PM. Today's worksheet is work text page 141. So find that page if you don't already have it out. You can pause the video to make sure we're on the same page. Let's look here at the blue box. It says to find the time, count by fives, then count by ones. So last year and in our previous lesson, we were just telling time, counting by five to the 5 minute. Today now we're being more precise and we're doing it to the minute. So it's no longer going to perfectly fall on the big numbers where we would just multiply by 5 or count by fives to get there. Now we're going to count by fives till we get to the big number, and then we count by ones. So again, it's just like counting nickels and pennies. First, you start out counting by fives. You count all your nickels first, and then you count the pennies and count up by ones after that. It's the same thing with telling time. And I know all of you can count nickels and pennies. So let's apply that same technique, that same skill you already have, to the clock instead of coins. So let's look at number 1. First, we have to figure out what hour it is. Remember, we've been talking about, the hour hand kind of has its own room. Okay, so which room is it in? Is it in the 9 room? It is. This one's nice because it's almost pointing to the 9 still, isn't it? It hasn't moved very much. So we can tell a lot easier that it's 9, right? The hour is 9, but it's not exactly 9 o'clock. We've gone several minutes after. So if we're skip counting, we start at 12. We go 5, 10, 15. Now I can't go another 5 because I would go past the minute hand. So this is where I count by ones. I'm at 15, 16, 17. So it's 9:17. Okay, that wasn't too bad. We can do this. Let's do another one before I have you do a few on your own, and then we'll kind of check and see how well you did. This next one's a little bit harder in the fact that the minute hand, right, we have more minutes. It's gone farther around the clock. Can you tell what hour it is? What room is the hour hand in? Is it in the 2 room or the 3 room? Remember, this is the 2 room. From here to here is 2. From here to here is the 3 room. It's still here in the 2 room. So the hour is 2. Now I've done that. Now I need to erase because that's going to be in our way, isn't it? Sorry about my smeared marker there. Okay, now we need to count the minutes. We know that it's 2 is the hour, but we need to figure out how many minutes it is. So I'm going to do it by skip counting. The last number that we come to is 7. If I go to 8, I've gone too far. So I'm going to skip count from 12 to the 7. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Or you could have just multiplied 7 times 5 and gotten 35. Now we're going to add up by 1. 36, 37, 38, 39. So our time is 2:39. That one was a lot more counting, but you did great. Do 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Hit the pause button on the video here, and when you're all done, hit the play button again, and we'll go over it really quickly and see how well you did. Okay, you've had a chance to do these 4 here. You're on your own, and let's see if you got them right. The first one, number 3, is 4:13, right? 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. 413. Number 4, you should have had 8, right? The hour hand's here. It's in the 8 room. This is the 8 room. It's in the 8 room. So it's 8 o'clock. But how many minutes passed? Well, it's gone past the 7, but not the 8. I could multiply 7 times 5, and I get 35, and then count by ones, 36, 37. Or you can do the skip counting like I did up here, whichever works best for you. We want to get to the right answer. For number 5, you should have 11, and it's right 5, 6, 7, 8. 1108. Don't forget to put that 0 to hold the place. Our numbers have to have 2 digits in the minute space, whereas the hour, a single digit's fine. But when we're dealing with minutes, you have to have 2 digits. And for number 6, it is 654. 10 times 5 is 50. 51, 52, 53, 54. 654. Great job. This next section here with the blue clock, now we're counting how many minutes before the next hour. This, if you thought the quarter till was kind of tricky, I'm sorry, this is going to be tricky too. But it's kind of fun to learn a fancy way of saying things. So if we think of it that way, it's a little more interesting or a little bit more of a challenge. But you are definitely up for the challenge. So let's look at the directions. They tell us to count backwards from 12 when the minute hand is past the 30. Just like here, the time is 3:47. I can also say that it's 13 minutes before 4 o'clock. All right, that seems okay. It's a little harder to do. The nice thing about this first one is that the minute hand is actually on one of the big numbers, so that will make it a little bit easier for us. The first thing you really need to do is determine what is the digital time. What's the hour? Well, what room is the hour hand in? It's in the 5, right? In the 5 room. So the hour's 5. The minute hand is here on the 8. So I can multiply 8 times 5, or I can skip count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So our time is 5:40. Great. Now, in order to say how many minutes before the next hour, I have to actually start we're measuring how long it takes for the minute hand to get from here to here. How many minutes will it take? So I start at the 8, and I'm going, okay, that's my stopping point. If I go here to the 12 and I count backwards, it'll tell me how many minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's 20 minutes before. What hour will it be? When this hand makes it to the top, it's not 5 anymore. It's going to be the next hour, 6. So 5:40 is the same as 20 minutes before 6. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Let's do another one together. Let's learn right? It's fun to learn new things. They're hard at first, but you got this. Let's figure out what time it is. So here, the minute hand's not directly on a big number, but it's pretty close. You can multiply. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. Let's figure out the hour first. Sorry, I was going straight to the minutes. We should figure out the hour first. What hour room is that hour hand in? It's in the 7 o'clock room, isn't it? Right? So we know the hour is 7. Now let's focus on that minute hand. It's really close to the 10. I could multiply 5 times 10, or we can skip count. So I'm going to skip count for friends who need to do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and then we go one more, 51. So the time is 7:51. Now for some of you, I'll be honest, if you find this part really tricky, but you're really good at computation, if I know there's a total of 60 minutes in an hour, and I subtract 51, I'm going to get the same number. This number will be the number of minutes before the hour. But let's count it first, and then we'll do the subtraction problem to see if they match. So I know that I have to measure how long it takes to get from here to here. So let's skip count. 5. Now I have to count by 1. 6, 7, 8, 9. It takes 9 more minutes to get to the next of clocks, which isn't 7, it's 8. So it's 9 minutes before 8. If I do a subtraction problem, right, there's more on the floor. I go next door and get 10 more. 10 minus 1 is 9, and 5 minus 5 is nothing. This matches this, so I know that I did that correctly. That's a great way to check yourself to make sure that you have it, that you've done that part correctly until you get really confident and good at it. For number 9, we're just reviewing here at the bottom the concept of AM and PM. And they remind us here in the bubble that AM is from 12 o'clock midnight until 12 o'clock noon. From 12 o'clock noon to midnight, we use PM. So, which of these pictures is 12 o'clock midnight? Is it the girl eating lunch or asleep? Right, so this one goes to, you should be asleep at midnight, I should be asleep at midnight. Noontime is a typical lunch time. Maybe not ours at school day, but maybe at home you eat lunch around noon. Okay, last part right here, we're matching how many hours are in a day, how many minutes are in an hour, how many minutes are in a half an hour. So why don't you do that really quickly? I'll give you a head start. You probably have this done by now, but let's see. 1 day is how many hours? 24 hours. How many minutes are in 1 hour? 60. And half of that would be 30. All right. You did a great job today. This part here is really tough. And I appreciate your patience with that. We'll keep practicing and doing that. You're going to have some practice problems on the back. Remember, you can always turn this paper over back to this front side and look at what we did together to help you through that. I look forward to seeing you next time when we are going to talk about before and after times and elapsed times. So we just keep digging deeper into telling time. I'll see you next time. Bye.